few years ago, on Valentine's Day, which is supposed to be a day all about love, something really scary happened to me. Just so you know, I'm not in a relationship, and it looks like I might stay single forever. Everyone reacts to rejection differently, and for some people, it's especially tough on Valentine's Day. Back in 2022, I worked as a hairstylist in a local salon. I don't want to sound like I'm showing off, but I used to get a lot of people flirting with me, college students, dads, and even some moms. I had gotten used to it and thought of it as just part of my job. However, this particular Valentine's Day was unlike any other. I was working a long day at the salon when Mark, a regular customer, came in. He's a tall guy who's a bit awkward and always seems a bit down. He's not great with social cues and tends to push boundaries by hitting on me. While cutting Mark's hair, he suddenly turned around in the chair with a big smile and gave me a note. It was strange because I had never gotten a note at work before. Trying to be polite, I opened it right away. The message said, "I really like you and want you to be my Valentine." It was kind of nice, but also a bit strange. I had to tell him politely that I already had a boyfriend and was happy with him. But Mark didn't handle it well. He got really upset, turned red, and started shaking. I stepped back carefully because I was worried he might get angry and do something physical. He grabbed the note back, left the salon angrily, and left everyone else confused. My coworkers and clients asked me a lot of questions, worried about what just happened. I'm used to guys showing interest in me, but this was different and made me uncomfortable. The rest of my work time was normal, and nothing unusual happened. But when it was 9 p.m. and time to close, things changed. I did my usual tasks like cleaning and turning off the lights in the salon. After that, I locked up the place. Since I didn't have a car, I waited for my boyfriend to come and pick me up. When he texted that he was there, I saw his car parked in the back of the parking lot. I unlocked the salon door, went outside, and locked it again. As I was walking towards my boyfriend's car, I suddenly heard someone coming towards me in a hurry. I was surprised when someone suddenly tackled me to the ground. When I looked up, I saw it was Mark. His eyes were red, and he smelled like alcohol. He was really upset, and, before I could even shout, he slapped me. He grabbed my throat and shook me, yelling,
"Why won't you be my Valentine? Why won't you love me?"
Everything became blurry and I was really scared. It felt like a terrible dream happening in real life. They quickly took me inside the house and called the police. 3 police cars came rushing in, and they took Mark away in handcuffs on a stretcher. That Valentine's Day turned into the worst day of my life. After everything happened, it was really tough for me. I felt scared, like a spooky feeling that wouldn't go away. But you know how life can be surprising? Well, something unexpected was about to happen. In the weeks that came after, while I was trying to put my life back together, something weird occurred. One day, I got a letter in the mail. It had my name on it, but no one's address. I was curious, so I opened it carefully. Inside, there was a handwritten note that gave me the chills. It said, "I'm sorry for what happened. I was going through a tough time. Look for the truth, and you'll find answers." I was really confused. Someone sent me a letter that talked about a secret or something. I wanted to know who sent it and what they were talking about. The letter made me think there was something mysterious going on, so I decided to find out more. When I asked people, I found out that a guy named Mark had a tough time in the past. He faced a lot of rejection and struggled with his mental health. Even though this doesn't excuse what he did, it helped me understand the tough situation he was in. As I looked into it more, I found out Mark had a twin brother named Ethan, who I didn't know existed. Ethan had been through a lot too, dealing with his own problems and going in and out of rehab. Things got more interesting when I found out that Ethan really wanted to talk to Mark during that time. He was trying hard to make things right between them. But Mark, who was dealing with his own hurt feelings, didn't want to hear it. The mysterious note in the mail turned out to be Ethan's way of saying sorry for his troubled brother. As I pieced everything together, a surprising twist unfolded. It was a story about 2 brothers struggling with their own problems, and a night that changed everything. This whole situation made me see that life can be more complicated than we think. When I uncovered the truth, it brought a mix of closure and understanding. It was a bit sad but also comforting to realize that even in the darkest times, there are hidden stories of pain and redemption. It was Valentine's Day, and my friend Jenny and I were in high school at a small school in Willow Creek. Our school is a bit strange, and not everyone can bring their cars. So most of the time, we have to walk everywhere unless we're lucky enough to have a bike. Sadly, this semester, luck wasn't on my side. So we wanted to do something special for Valentine's Day, but we couldn't think of anything fancy. So we thought, why not order some food from Uber Eats? I offered to pay, but it was late, and most restaurants were closed. Luckily, Taco Hut was still open, but there were no delivery drivers available because of the snowy weather scaring them away. The app suggested we could pick up the food ourselves, but there wasn't a way to cancel. So, with a hug and a kiss from Jenny, I decided to brave the cold and walk 1.5 miles to get our food. I'm a broke high school student, and I just spent my last few bucks on Taco Hut. Walking through my school's area at night is usually fine for me. I'm just a regular 15-year-old guy, not too tall, just 5'9". But once I leave the school and go into the nearby neighborhoods, things can get a bit weird. As I walked through the school grounds and got about a quarter of the way to Taco Hut, I saw another guy in the distance. Two things made me feel uneasy right away. First, he was wearing one of those long trench coat things that look suspicious. Second, it was super cold and snowy outside, so it didn't make sense for anyone to be walking around in those conditions. I ignored those thoughts and just told myself that maybe he was in a similar situation or really liked the weather. Even though I switched to the other side of the street, I didn't want to talk to him because I'm not great with strangers. We walked past each other without saying anything, and everything seemed okay. But because I'm a cautious person, I kept looking back just to be safe. The guy was still walking the same way, which was a relief. So I continued walking, occasionally checking behind me. After about 2 minutes, I noticed he was now walking towards me, and he was getting faster. This really scared me, so I started walking faster too. Unfortunately, I couldn't run because the road was icy. This guy caught up to me and got really angry. Something noisy fell from his sleeve, like a piece of metal or a big knife. I got scared because it seemed dangerous, and my instincts to either fight or run kicked in. I took out my pocket knife to protect myself. As he crossed the street toward me, I said, "Hey, I don't want any trouble. I have a knife." He stopped and said he thought I was someone else who attacked him. I stayed calm, told him he got the wrong person, and he quickly agreed and went back to his side of the street, going the other way. Feeling like I was okay, I kept going to Taco Hut, but I was more careful. What if there were two strange guys around? While checking behind me, I noticed the same guy on the path I'd just walked. I walked faster, looking back, but at some point he disappeared. I got back to the high school without anything else happening, but I kept my hand on my pocket knife, just in case. Even now, I don't know what that guy wanted, but it wasn't anything good. So I finally made it to Taco Hut and thought everything was good. But when I got there and took a breath of relief, I saw something strange. The place was shut down, lights off, and there was a sign on the door saying they closed early for some unexpected reason. Unforeseen circumstances on Valentine's Day. Really? I was annoyed and hungry, standing there not sure what to do. I couldn't afford to order from somewhere else, and going back with nothing felt like a loss. Just then, my phone beeped. Jenny texted me saying she found another place nearby that was still open, and she ordered our food. Feeling happy and thankful, I thanked my good luck and went towards the new place. The walk felt longer than before, and I couldn't forget the weird encounter with the mysterious guy earlier. But, well, at least I was going to get some food. When I got to the different restaurant, I saw Jenny sitting at a table. She seemed relieved to see me. Turns out, she had a strange encounter too. While waiting for food, a guy approached her, saying he was lost and needed directions. Jenny, being the helpful person she is, tried to help him out. But as we talked more, the guy's questions got strange. He started asking personal things like where she lived and if she was alone. Jenny felt uncomfortable and decided to leave. That's when she saw me walking in. We both realized that something weird was going on that night. To be safe, we decided to stay together and go back to campus. As we walked, we couldn't shake the feeling that someone was watching us. Every time we looked back, it made us more nervous. All of a sudden, we heard someone walking behind us. We started walking faster, but the footsteps matched ours. We got scared as we came close to a dark alley. When we looked back, we saw the same guy we saw before, the one wearing a long coat. He was walking behind us at the same speed. Feeling nervous, we turned into a busy place, thinking that being around other people would make him stop following us. But he kept following. Finally, we reached the campus where there were bright lights and security guards. That made us feel safer. The mysterious guy, however, disappeared into the night. We told the campus security about the weird things that happened, but they couldn't find the strange people. The night went by without anything else happening, but we still felt like something was wrong. Even now, we don't know what happened on that Valentine's night. Who were those strange guys, and why were they there? We might never find out, but one thing is certain, that Valentine's Day was way more exciting and unsettling than we thought it would be. Before I continue to the next story, if you are interested in earning from YouTube without showing your face, or without making videos by yourself using artificial intelligence, like the video that you are watching right now, then I have a special free training for you. Check the first link in the description below to get instant access. Last year, a few days before Valentine's Day, I was 15 and trying to figure out dating. I'm a shy guy, and it seemed like every girl I met either ignored me or didn't want to talk. So, I asked my best friend Mike for advice when we were hanging out at a nearby restaurant. We were hanging out, talking about different things like sports and school. Eventually, I got brave and started talking to Mike about my problems with dating. I thought he could give good advice because he had a girlfriend at the time. I told him how I felt frustrated because girls weren't really noticing me. Mike suggested I try a dating app that had worked for him. I got excited about the idea of a new beginning, so when I got home, I created a profile. I carefully chose a nice picture of myself, hoping it would make a good impression. As I used the app, I sat on my bed, watching TV and eagerly waiting for a notification that someone had matched with me. Surprisingly, it didn't take much time. My phone made a sound, and I saw that someone named Sarah had liked me back. I was curious, so I looked at her profile. Sarah was the same age as me, with reddish-brown hair and hazel eyes. In her pictures, she was wearing a flowery dress and had a friendly smile. It was the first time I was really excited to talk to a girl, so I decided to start our conversation with a simple hello. To my surprise, Sarah responded with a cheerful hello within a minute. We started chatting, and she seemed really nice. Feeling encouraged by our conversation, I took a chance and asked if we could meet in person. To my surprise again, she said yes and gave me her address, inviting me to her house that very night. Excited and hopeful, I got ready and put on warm clothes. I hopped into my car, messaged Sarah that I was coming, and felt lucky to meet someone cool on the dating app so soon. While driving, I noticed the road getting emptier, surrounded by thick woods. Houses were scarce, and I started to worry that I was going to a remote place. After what felt like a really long time, I finally arrived at Sarah's house. I texted her, got out of my car, and saw a somewhat delicate-looking house. Despite my doubts, I went up to the front door. The grass in the front yard was really tall, and when I tried to confirm the address with another message, I realized the Wi-Fi wasn't working. Ignoring the strange feeling, I went into the house. It was really dark and full of dust, and I couldn't see Sarah or anyone else. When I tried to message her again, I found out that the app wasn't working and my phone didn't have any signal. But I didn't give up. I kept looking around the house and eventually reached the living room. In there, I saw a bright blue dress hanging from the ceiling, the same one Sarah had on in her pictures. Next to it was a black wig, which was a surprising and confusing detail. Feeling puzzled, I called out Sarah's name, hoping to hear her answer. Instead, a deep and unsettling yes echoed from behind me. I saw a guy wearing a black hoodie, and he had the hood covering most of his face. He had brown hair and a creepy smile, and he was holding something that looked like a gun. I got really scared when he told me to give him all my stuff. I didn't want any trouble, so I reluctantly put my things, including my watch, into his bag. After he walked away, I was finally able to move, so I quickly went to my car and drove away. I felt relieved that I didn't see the guy again. When I got back to Mike's house, I told him about the scary encounter. Mike decided to call the police, and when they came, I explained what happened. The police discovered something surprising during their investigation. A person tricked me into going to an empty house by pretending to be someone named Sarah on a dating app. But it turns out, Sarah wasn't real, and the house wasn't his. It was just an old, empty place. The police looked for the fake person but couldn't find them. This whole situation really scared me. I couldn't believe someone would make up a fake identity to fool others. It taught me to be careful when talking to people online and meeting them in person. After that happened, I chose not to use dating apps anymore. Instead, I prefer to meet people in more usual ways. What happened made me realize how important it is to be careful and trust my feelings. The dating scene can be unpredictable, and it taught me that it's essential to know when to take a break and think things over.